Good morning. Yesterday we talked about what I do in the month of November. Not that anybody really cares what I do, but the reason why I do that is because I think there's some value in it. And so I wanted to share that value with you yesterday. Talk about taking the week of Thanksgiving, and I use that for my planning week. I look forward to the next year and what's going to happen then. And so I wanted to talk briefly this morning about a couple of things as I get my stuff together here. I apologize. We're really running behind today. I had some reasons why I was running late, and I apologize for that. But we'll get to it, I promise, okay? So I have a couple of things that I like to share. We talk about planning tools. Planners are incredibly popular right now. And people, this time of the year, they run out and buy planners, and they're going to schedule out 2020, and it's going to be better than any year that they've ever had. And typically what happens is that planner lasts until about April. And then it begins to fizzle out. And I've been asked this question a lot about planners and their value and what planner do you use and that kind of a thing. And so the last time I used a planner actually was when I was still in the insurance business, and I used a planner and I felt like I was connected to something that was disconnected from me, if that makes any sense at all. I found myself trying to fit into something that didn't necessarily benefit me. And what I mean by that was that it scheduled out, what were you going to do for lunch? Who were you going to meet with for lunch? All of those kind of, every single little minute thing, and every conversation had these many points and this kind of thing attached to that. Well, there's some value to that in somebody who's starting out and fresh to be able to develop some habits. But a planner is not necessarily the best thing, because then you end up tied to something else. What needs to happen in order for you to be successful in business is you need to be free to do what you do. And being free to do what you do is going to make a huge difference. So this is what I do. I told you we would talk about the things on the wall sometimes. What I do is I draw pictures on my wall. I create from here. I've got a whole bunch of these, and I'll put some of those up and share them later on as we get closer to that Thanksgiving week. But my biggest number one thing is this, and y'all have seen me hold that up several times, my giant notepad. I think that giant notepad really helps me. It really helps me to stay focused. And so is there a better way than going out and buying a planner and spending 50 or 70? I've seen planners for $70. As cool as that is, and you feel really cool, it's got nice little stuff on it and all of that. I use a simple notebook. I mean, I did personalize this one, but I use a very simple notebook. And this notebook has covered most of the year for me, not the whole year, but most of the year for me. And it accomplishes, between it and the pad, accomplishes everything I need to do. But the best way is this. It's not necessarily the tool. The tool is not going to make you more productive. The tool is going to put some things in your hands that can be beneficial to you. One of the reasons why I do this bucket talk 4 days a week is I try to put something in your hands going to be beneficial to you. This accomplishes the same purpose as a little quote at the top of your planner, right? I mean, honestly, it accomplishes the same purpose. And so, Art's giving a really good explanation there of what happens to the independent business owner. This is different. I mean, when I was an employee, I had a schedule. It was easy to do that. It was really easy to do that. Independently, everything can change that. So what you want to do is this, and let me make this make sense, okay? Because there is a better way. The better way is not necessarily this. It's not necessarily using a giant art pad. It's not necessarily using your wall like I do. Those are all things that I do. But what I've done is I've created a system. And the system is important. Systems have value. System. And I write this down over and over and over again. I love this quote, and I write it frequently. If you thumb through this book, you'll see it probably 6 times in this book. You thumb through my big art pad, you'll probably see it 25 times on that art pad. If you look at the things that I write, oftentimes you'll see that quote there. It's modified from a quote from James Allen in the book, 8 Pillars of Prosperity. And somebody asked me one time, Eric, where do you come up with all your new ideas? I don't come up with new ideas. I simply take ideas that somebody wrote about 150 years ago. And those principles still apply. And so I use them and I find them incredibly effective. And James Allen said this in his book, 8 Pillars of Prosperity, in chapter 4 on the subject of systems. He said this: system is that principle. System is that principle of organization whereby confusion is rendered impossible. System is that principle of order whereby confusion is rendered impossible. So you create systems. Instead of a planner, I don't need to remind myself now that every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 o'clock, I'm going to go live. There are times I have that schedule gets interrupted, but that's a system. That's part of my system. I have a plan. I call it Bucket Talks. I have a place where I write down the topics for the Bucket Talks. And then I go live and I share those with you. Then I have a system whereby I take that and then I transcribe that into a written format, which usually has a lot of editing that needs to be done. And then I have somebody edit it for me. But you have a system that works. Systems are far more effective than planners. If you will, let me know in the comments right now, or when you're watching on a replay, that you would like to have the fourth chapter, the chapter on system from James Allen with my notes in it. I'll be glad to send that to you. Okay. All you have to do is tell me I would really like to have that fourth chapter. Just say something to that effect, and I will make sure that you get a copy of. I love to give that away because I think it's just an amazing tool, and he takes you through a really, really eye-opening exercise on the value of systems. Because when you have a system, let me tell you, there's some things that you have when you have a system. When you have a system, you have rendered confusion impossible. So here's a little test for you. If you're confused, you know what's missing? A system. Do you understand that? Because the system renders confusion impossible. So if you have confusion, what's happened is that your system isn't in place, doesn't work, or you don't have one at all. Really easy, okay? So first of all, it's a test. If I'm confused, then you know that you don't have a system. I know I don't have a system. And I need to have a system, right? Does that make sense? So that's the first thing. Second thing is that a system is easy to follow. That's the whole purpose of a system, right? I start here, I go here, I do this, I do that. I go live at 9 o'clock. That gets recorded on Facebook for me. I take that Facebook and I then send that to my transcription tool. I get it transcribed. I drop it into Google Docs, and then I can go back and edit that, and I can put that together, and I can compress those together, and I can make something out of that. That's a system. I'm not confused about what do I need to do, right? I don't wake up in the morning and go, okay, what's going to happen next? What I do instead is that I get up early in the morning and I plan out what I'm going to do for this Bucket Talk. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I do that every single week the same way. There have been times when that has been interrupted for health reasons or whatever kinds of weird conflicts or whatever happens. But that's my system. I don't wake up confused. I follow the system. The system's really easy. Building systems is difficult once they're done, once they're in place. And I've spent most of this year, because it's been a year of recovery, I've spent most of this year thinking through and developing systems to make business easier for business owners. Thinking through how do we create a system so that confusion is rendered impossible. That's the second thing. They're easy to follow. The third thing, and this is really important, a system's easy to sell. If I have a system for how I do things, then it's pretty easy for me to implement that system for somebody else. It makes it easy to sell, right? There's great value in system. That's why I want you to have a copy. James Allen's 4th chapter in the 8 principles of prosperity. Creating a system is way better than spending the $45 for a planner. Send me the $45, okay? Just go ahead and send it to me. And thank me for saving you the $45 and giving you the value of having a system. Okay, in the book, for the fourth pillar system. In that book, you'll see my notes. I have notes in there that I've contained in there as to how you go about creating systems around the conversation that James Allen has in that 4th chapter. I'll never forget when I read that book the first time. And if you don't have a copy of it, I should probably put that book out and make it available to my audience at some point in time. That's on my list of things to do. I should get that done someday. That's a great Sunday afternoon project. You say, can you write a book on Sunday afternoon? Yeah, I can. So great opportunity to be able to do that. But system, the thing that's most valuable in all of that big book, The 8 Pillars of Prosperity, the thing that's most valuable for you at this particular time of the year is that chapter on the value of system. Okay, is there a better way than a planner? Yes, absolutely. If you want to remain an employee, get a planner. If you want to be an independent business owner, develop systems. Big difference between the two. Okay, thank you for joining me today on this Tuesday as we plunge into the month of November. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the things that we're going to be able to accomplish in the month of November. A lot of people take this and kind of start to ramp up for the holidays. I kind of start to ramp up for the year. So thank you for joining me. I love you. I look forward to talking to you soon.